Harvard looking to sweep Cornell for the first time since 2015.
Yeah, and these two teams, the big red crimson rivalry is obviously just historic. You look at it in the hockey rink, the football arena, no matter what it is, this kind of matchup always just means more, those rivalry matchups. So these two teams definitely looking to make a statement in this game.
Cornell at 11-6. They come off a win over the weekend against Columbia, 3-0, 5-3 in Ivy League play. Harvard 9-8, 1-4 in their last 5, but do come off a win in 4 sets against Dartmouth, the Big Green. Harvard right now shading away towards the middle of the conference at 4-4 in 5th place. We mentioned it. A win for them can jump them up and swing everything around here in Ivy League play. Cornell looking for that first appearance in tournament play since 2019. Coach Vandenberg talked about this season being the revamp, a start over, and really reassessing what this team is going to be all about here in 2024. And they've played phenomenal volleyball here inside their home gym. 4-1 here on the East Hill in Ithaca, New York.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty special building to play in if you're a Cornell athlete. It just means all the much more. They're very comfortable. The fans always show out. They're always loud. And this team likes to bring the energy. Hopefully you'll hear it tonight.
Jackie Baker, she'll get you set off here on a Friday night. Cornell and Harvard, here we go. And the first point towards the Big Red way, not slapped over from Aguirre, the senior on the Harvard side.
Yeah, it just looked like a slight miscue. Wasn't sure if she wanted to set that ball over or set up one of her hitters.
This Harvard squad, they've struggled in first sets, 1-5 in their last 6. Cornell, they've won their last 5 first sets. That's a big thing to talk about as this game goes on. Here's a chance up front. Those middle blockers for Cornell cannot convert, but that's a big part of both teams' identities, both top 2 in blocks right in front of the net.
Yeah, and we know how momentum shifting blocks can be, right? If you get a couple here, a couple there, volleyball's a game of runs. Those big blocks, those big momentum shifters are going to matter tonight.
Cornell first in blocks per set. Harvard in second, just by a little bit. Ozalt gives a chance here for Sione, and Cornell takes the lead back.
I love the effort there out of Doa Ozalt. She was booking it across the floor to get to that ball and set up Sione. A lot of effort. You love to see it.
She flies around on the floor. Her ability as a setter, almost 630 assists for her on her junior season. Up front and just out towards the left side, it looks like Cornell will receive the point. A lot of different kill opportunities for Harvard. We talk about Faltinsky, her ability this season, how successful that she has been, but the ability from Fury as well, the senior at 6'1", she's also done a phenomenal job.
And it's crazy to think that some of these players for Harvard didn't see a whole lot of time last year. They've developed just in this 1 year alone.
Just like Faltinsky. Parsons with the dig. Ozalt gets them in motion. Kinvicka too long. Back to Faltinsky. Last season, just 29 sets played, battled some injuries, had 95 kills the year prior, but did not play a lot of volleyball back in 2023.
Yeah, and her ability to bounce back here, it's your junior season. This is really the time you want to develop before you peak in your senior season. She's done a great job taking advantage of what she's been given.
Yete on the serve there. Ozalt in system here for Sione. Nice rejection on the other side from Turby. Nice shot from Zhang. Gives a chance for Faltinsky in rhythm. And she hammers it home for the Crimson.
Yeah, and that's what you can't do if you're the Big Red. Serving those balls up on a silver platter for Faltinsky, those are not going to play into your favor.
And Coach Vandenberg has talked about how she wants to really serve tough. That's a big part of the Cornell identity, serving tough, and sometimes the service aces will not go your way. And there's the rejection of the middle blockers for Harvard. That's your matchup. It's fire on fire up front. That could be really the turning point of this game. Whoever can win up top in front of the net with their tallest players.
Right, you have to play smart on the block here. You got to make sure you're in system, but also play tough on the net.
Another serve here from Piette. Carlo, hard hit. Harvard cannot respond. Cam Carlos had a very fantastic senior season, nearing that 80 kill mark. 21st in the nation right now in blocks per set. Was 6th last year in that category. Does a lot of damage up front.
And she's not necessarily been the offensive option for the Big Red on the middle side of things like she has in previous years, but Mackenzie Parsons has filled that role, so she can just focus on blocking.
Pomar, Ozalt, back to Kinvicka. What a dig on the Harvard side from Zhang. Faltinsky, she wanted it home. Ozalp and Konvika, miscommunication here up in front. And Harvard receives a point when Cornell had a lot of momentum on that point to begin. Konvika early, trying to get her in rhythm on the right side. Moves over to the left here. Cornell keeps their similar lineup. Haley Clark checked out early. There's Carlo, wanted to take something off of it. Harvard gets the point.
Yeah, and you could see she wanted to be smart there and play just a soft touch when you were expecting the one ball hard set, but she went a little bit softer with it, just a small miscue off the top of the net.
Lindsay Zhang on the serve, 15 service aces in her season, only 11 errors on her end. Chance for Sione, too much on it. And Harvard now getting their way here on the road. The struggles for them late. They've missed in the kills department a lot. The one thing that Harvard has done well is the blocks, but 7th in kills, 8th in service aces, don't always serve tough. Carlo, a lot on it with the authority. And now the substitutions, Ray, into the second rotation here. What Megan Bickle has brought to the table, a very good senior season for her.
Yeah, and it's the leadership, right, out on the floor. This is a younger team. When you get the opportunity to bring your seniors out, like Bickle, like Carlo, you got to do it. Let them get some time and guide traffic out on the floor.
Faltinsky with some barbecue and some ranch on that one. And Harvard with 8 points on the board.
You know, Cam, that one did come in hot. I like your use of barbecue there because it seemingly came right off those grates. It was coming in hot. No chance to stop that from the Big Red defense.
Had 220 kills coming in for Faltinsky. Ozalp, Konvika, lot on it. Great effort here from Harvard. A free ball that just gets over the net, pins towards the middle. Mesapika. Harvard keeps it alive. Faltinsky one more time and slams it home towards the middle. Ozalp couldn't recover.
But if you're the Big Red defense, this is what you have to expect. Faltinsky is going to get in there. She's going to get her kills. How can you adapt to her?
Comes down to a lot of the middle blockers for Cornell. You want to see a big night out of Carlo and Konvika to help out. Carlo looking to slam it home on that side. And Cornell can't keep it in play towards the scores table. So Harvard with this hot start. We mentioned it earlier. They have not been good in first sets. Timeout called here for Cornell. Cornell has had to rely on first sets as their bread and butter to succeed throughout a match.
And I can only imagine head coach Jennifer Weiss on the Harvard side was telling her team, let's get that nice fluffy lead to start things out, and then you can just move on and hang out through the set. Be a little bit calmer, a little bit cooler.
Helps a lot when you can get a lead on the road very early and often. When you have lost 3 of your last 4 matches, it's finding some reliability and being able to station yourself here. And Harvard's done that to begin, but they've done a lot well, but Cornell some miscues and not being able to get into system as much early.
And it's been the miscommunication a little bit, to be honest with you, Cam. I mean, you saw that miscommunication between Ozalp and Konvika. Things like that can't happen at the Division I level, especially if you want to play clean against a team like Harvard, who's going to take advantage of everything that you give them. And again, we talked about it. These are 2 teams that really, really are itching for wins right now, Harvard in particular. So you can't give them anything easy.
And you want to play tight. Coach Vandenberg said this week, Cornell goes back to that Princeton game on the 19th. They lose that in 4 sets. She mentioned they came out very hot in set 1. Sets 2 through 4, they played a little bit too tight. When things didn't go their way, they got quiet on their side. You mentioned the energy early. At home, Cornell has to continue to find some way to absorb energy in a game like this.
Yeah, you can't fall flat. You got to pull energy from anywhere you can, whether that's from your bench, whether that's from the players out on the floor, whether that's from the crowd. You got to find it somewhere.
Out of the timeout, Cornell looking to respond. Sione, nice dig on that end from Zhang. Faltinsky rejected.
And sometimes that's all you need, just a big block. That'll get your team going.
A lot of celebrations on the bench, too, for Cornell, reviving different players. A lot going on their energy department.
And looking at that from a sports psychology side of things, you have to be able to recognize when your team's down and make a conscious choice to change the energy there.
Tough play for Cornell to make. Diving there is Bickle. But Cornell has indexed themselves as a team in this conference that is a force to be reckoned with. But this is the time of the year where what you did the first month and a half doesn't matter if it falls forward at this time in October into November.
And listen, they've made a statement so far this year, but the statement's only complete if you make it to the Ivy League tournament.
Ozalt Parsons, Ivy League Rookie of the Week, reigning in that department. We talked to her this week, and she's talked about the speed of college volleyball. It's not always the speed, but the authority, how hard a lot of these kills and blocks really come in on that end.
Yeah, I mean, she played for one of the best club teams in the nation, so it almost seems like the game is slowed down for her in certain aspects, but sped up in the aspect of strength. And that's something that you can't discount here at the Division I level. When you're working out all the time, you're lifting that Division I level weight. That's a lot. That's a lot for a freshman to adjust to.
Especially with an Ivy League, you're at an Ivy League school, a lot of the education process as well. It plays a big part when you're also an athlete. Harvard back to the service line here. Ozalt, Sione, too long. Cornell wanted to tip in front. They will not get it. Harvard takes it. 13-7 in their favor here in the first set. Sione has not found her way, Massapequa, has not found her way just yet on that left side here to begin. Convica want to get her going, and she gets rejected. Peyton Hollis, the junior, picks up her 9th block of the season.
And this is what we talk about when we talk about depth, because if you look up and down this Harvard roster, you see a couple players here and there with 60 kills here, 60 kills there, and it may not seem like a big number, but in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot you have to scout for.
And a lot of depth as well for Harvard. Chance there for Massapequa, and just tarts it over on the left side. Cornell now takes back-to-back points. They have their bench here. Jackie Baker comes back in. She began in this game. And they'll also bring Jada Sione, the sophomore. 28 blocks. That's 4th on this Cornell team. She's had a lot of reliability on that end. It was a serve from Baker here to begin. 9 service aces on her season. Harvard a chance. Convica the dig, Pomar. Free ball there from Convica. Zhang. Chance for Hollins. And Harvard once again in the right spot at the right time, taking Cornell out of any rhythm. You saw there, no chance for Convica to get some momentum to rise above. They had to force the free ball and then gave Harvard a lot of time to reset.
Yeah, and Hollis just had all the time in the world to get as far up as she wanted into the air and basically see the arms of the block for as long as she wanted.
Ozalt maybe just touched that over. By the end of her ballpoint pen, gets it over on the other side. And Cornell with 9 to Harvard's 15 here to start, looking to crawl back in this first set. Cornell's not been down in a first set like this in the last month. Parsons, Ozalt, Sione. Here comes Cornell.
And making that decision whether to go cross court with it, that hasn't worked. Okay, let's try up the line, up the pin, and that lands for Sione.
Strong start for Sione. A block and a kill here to begin. Chance there from Fury. Oh, good job from Ozalt and company to keep it up. Zhang. Back to Fury. Right in front is Carlo and Ozalt. Carlo looking to block this one more time. A one-timer chance there for Harvard. Back to Convica. Hammers it home. And there's that Cornell energy here at home on a Friday night.
And that just shows the athleticism of Eliza Convica. On one leg, like a flamingo, just manages to tap it over, throw the defense off, and she lands a kill.
Flamingos are awesome animals.
I agree. Well, they were my favorite when I was a kid, actually.
They're really, really just like super elegant. That pink color. 15-12 now the score. Timeout for Harvard. They need a chance here to reset. And just after that timeout for Cornell, the momentum has shifted. A 15-12 their celebrations. Set number 1 means so much in a game like this. You could almost think that whoever takes set 1, especially if it's Harvard, how that could do damage in this time of year. Valtinsky, kill number 5 for her. What a start for the junior. She's 5 for 6 here to begin in this first set. Dominant start when they need it most. Zhang there on the serve. Top libero on the Harvard end. Here's Sione. Tipped, and Cornell takes it. A really good response there after a detonating kill from Faltinsky.
And you talk about the skill of Jada Sione. Maybe doesn't hit the ball incredibly hard like Eliza Konvicka, but when she picks her spot, she lands it. And that's all you need sometimes.
Places it super well. Her accuracy is a big part of her game. Here's Bickle. Zhang with a good dig. It was middle. Faltinsky takes something off of it. Really nice play from Doa Ozal. Far side, Fury. Ozal with the hustle. Mesapika, was it tipped? Yes, it was. You got a 2-point difference here in the first set.
What's so incredible is that Mesapika uses all 5-4 of her frame to get everything she can on that ball, and it's harder than a lot of really athletic hitters in this conference.
But a great job on that set as well from the ability for the whole entire libero team. You look at Doa Ozal just diving around. She really reset that set to give Cornell a chance. Tough serve there from Megan Bickle. She'll pick up the error. It's her 21st of the season. Ozal. Carlo rises above. Back to a 2-point difference. Closest that Cornell has been since the first 2 points of this set. And Pomar, one of the top servers, 18 in the ace department, 17 on the errors. A good player you want here late in this first set.
Yeah, you talk about how big this first set is for either of these teams. It would be incredibly massive for Cornell considering they were down 14-7 at one point, a huge deficit they've had to crawl back towards.
And they won 5 straight before the Harvard timeout. Faltinsky one more time, looking for a placemat on the near side. Konvicka wants the same exact thing, won't work. Both sides trading punches, and Harvard wins the battle.
Yeah, that was an incredible rally, but again, Faltinsky, she continues to come out on top of this big red defense.
Only 1 kill for Konvicka so far. Cornell leads Sione and Carlo with 3, but what a start it's been for Faltinsky. 5 for her. She'll have the service chance here. 19-16, Harvard in favor. Good communication. Cornell's back row doing a good job letting that one fly.
And that's 2 for the Crimson that have fallen just long of the line over by the line judge over there. Of course, in games like this, you always want your serving to be on point because those errors just kill your runs.
Look how high Konvicka gets right here. Serves with a lot of authority, serves tough, exactly what Vandenberg wants to see. But what a hammering shot on the far side. Riley Patterson, when we talked to Trudy this week, one player that stood out to her was the length of Patterson at 6'1" in her sophomore season. Very, very tough to stop when she gets in rhythm on the outside.
Yeah, she's just an incredible middle. Her ability on the block, on the kill, it's going to be everything for this Crimson team.
Ozal, Parsons, backed right in front. Harvard now grooving here late in this first set. And Cornell will take their second timeout here in set number 1. So you mentioned 14-6 favor of Harvard. Cornell wins 5 straight. Now Harvard right back out of the timeout. Both teams using the timeouts in their favor. It seems like whatever team comes out of their timeout that they call, it's been the better team.
Yeah, and that's what good teams do, though, right? Is they take the energy when they need to take the energy and they shift it. And that's what both of these teams are going to do. And when you have incredibly experienced head coaches on both benches in Trudy Vandenberg and Jennifer Weiss in her 30th season, I mean, they know what they're doing over there. They know what to say to their team. And we asked Trudy Vandenberg about what she says to her team in those moments. And she said, you know what, I don't really know. I kind of just come up with it as we go along. I don't know the situation that we're going to be in. There's no one speech that's going to get it done. But clearly, over the seasons, these two head coaches have figured something out.
They really have. And I think for Cornell right now, what Coach Vandenberg is probably telling our team is they're right there. A lot of things from what they've expected from the scouting report, it's right there. Just a lot of their kills have not gone their way. A few too many mental mistakes that Cornell has had here early, and that's cost them. But doesn't seem like either side has outpowered each other here to begin. And that's what you'll see between two of the top 5 teams here in the Ivy League, how tight the standings are going to be down the stretch. Cornell in 3rd at 5-3, Harvard in 5th at 4-4. They're locked up with Penn in that spot. And a good start for the Big Red out of the timeout. Jackie Baker back in once again. Jada Sione also back in. Sione's had a good start to this game. Baker's reliability doesn't serve as tough, but serves very accurate for Cornell.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you need. If you can pick out those players in the back row that you want to serve to and you want to target, you never know when they're going to make a mistake.
We'll see how Cornell adapts here down the stretch. Pomar in as the libero as well on the Cornell end. Zhang also in as well. She does a good job reading that. Lets it go. 22 for the Crimson. And a big substitution on Harvard's side as well. Fury back in. Nice start for Fury here in this one. 2 kills on her end. And Vika, nice job lacing one up. Sione lost her balance backpedaling on that far side. That played a big factor. Cornell finally in rhythm. That's another mental, physical mistake that's not gone their way.
Yeah, it's just kind of seemed that they've been off kilter a little bit in set number 1. Just haven't been able to really find something consistent.
Aguirre on the serve. She's had a good start. Parsons rejected. Pomar back to Sione. This time she had a lot of momentum. Zhang, really good back hit over, but Cornell wins it there. And that's the ability of Ozulp and Parsons. That's why Cornell, big part of their success, it's the blocks right in front. Their size is the top of the Ivy League.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that front row, it's really hard to be fearless against them. So much power and so much ability.
And Parsons, a smile on her face with the service ace. 3-point difference. Cornell still trailing. Phenomenal freshman season for Parsons. For a team that has the upperclassmen in Convica and Carlo, the freshmen of Clark and Parsons have come in and made an impact.
Sometimes it's all you need. You got to bring in freshmen that are better than the talent that you have, and Clark and Parsons have really elevated the level of the Big Red's gym.
And there's some upperclassmen there helping out. Ozulp and Carlo. Carlo, the captain. She mentioned earlier on this season that she remembers all the sets last year where Cornell was down by 2, 3, late like this. You get a 2-point difference here in set 1. These were the sets of the matches Cornell would lose last year, but it's been that shift this year where Cornell's been able to show resiliency down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think that comes along with experience, right? You have Eliza Convica, you have Doa Ozulp, Cam Carlo, who are able to talk to those young freshmen, those young players on the team and say, hey, this is the mindset that we had, but here's how we adjust it, and here's how we come out on top. That veteran experience, when you've been in these pressure-filled situations, pressure makes diamonds, okay? And that's all you need to do is just learn how to come out on top of it, take the experience, and adapt.
This match so far also very different than the last one, because we mentioned earlier Cornell took the first set with absolute ease, and then they lost themselves in the final 3. This is one of those matches early where you can really see this thing going 4 to 5 sets with how these teams are playing with more effort and authority. And Coach Vandenberg talked about this time of year, you're practicing with more effort, more authority, more focus, especially when you know the Ivy League tournament, your availability to get in is right there.
And both of these teams, it's pretty clear that they want it. Both of them very well bonded together. You can see the chemistry out on the floor. Both of them just want this so much. And to get a chance to be in that Ivy League tournament, it means everything in the world to these athletes right now.
Cornell looking to get back in for the first time since 2019. Add another timeout. Fury. She'll get it. Looked like Carlo and Ozulp too far into the net. Also may have touched the top of the net on their end. And Harvard a chance here on a set point. Service chance for Piede, the senior libero. She started this thing off. First time Harvard had possession. Convica, Ozulp, they come to Carlo on a swing around. Zhang, Faltinsky's been the story. What a save from Jackie Baker. Convica brings it home. Baker diving around like a gerbil, keeps this thing alive.
Yeah, that was an incredible defensive play from Jackie Baker. She was able to get on the floor and get that ball in the air, and I think even her team thought that maybe she wouldn't get there, but manages to make the play.
Now Ozump, really tough serve. 24-23, closest Cornell has been. What a swing of momentum this has been. Now the bench getting into it for the Big Red. The fans that have packed inside Newman Arena as well. Ozump, a good start. Faltinsky, got it. And Harvard takes set number one by a 2-point difference. Strong start here for the Crimson, looking for their first sweep over Cornell since 2015. That's how you start here on the road. Set number two coming up. Both teams will reset. We'll have you covered for set number two. We mentioned a lot how much this game's going to mean in Ivy League play, but you look at so far in that first set, Harvard relying on their top outside hitter, Bryn Faltinsky. 7 kills so far. She's had double-digit kills 11 times this season. This is one of those nights where the stars really come out, and Harvard's had their star really shine bright in here to begin.
Yeah, and props to Rocky Aguirre because she's been serving up balls that Faltinsky's been able to look at like a big, juicy steak and just slam them home. I think she's been absolutely phenomenal in this one. She's picking her spots well. She's hitting the floor very well. I think really what stands out to me about this set, though, Cam, was that blocking. Harvard is the second team in the Ivy League in blocks. Cornell the first, but Harvard outblocking the Big Red in set number one.
And Cornell right now 86 in the hit percentage, coming off a battle where they had a 400 hit percentage when they took on Columbia. The big thing that Coach Vandenberg's talked about is how proud she's been of their accuracy, their ability when they're in system to convert on a kill. Right now, we've not seen that here to begin, and this Cornell squad hopes that Convica really gets going here, but it's the matter of opportunities. Hasn't had a lot of chances here to begin.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, I think it's really impressive that they were hitting at a .086 clip and still managed to keep that set as close as they did. But, I mean, Eliza Convica really does have to get going here, and the Harvard defense seems to have her figured out right now. She's a little bit out of sorts, a little bit out of system. It's really been Cam Carlo and Sione who have been able to land. But, hey, that is the bonus of having a deep team. If you have hitters that are working, utilize them. If Eliza's having an off night, that's okay. You can rely on your other hitters.
3 kills so far for Carlo, 3 for Sione on 10 attempts. Harvard begins here in set 2. Aguirre has 11 assists here to start. She'll have the serve. Ozump, Convica, get her going. That's the start you want for the Big Red.
Yeah, and that's really what you got to do. You're clear that Eliza Convica is your leader out there on the floor, one of the captains. You got to get her going, and they did just then.
Sarita Pomar to the service strike. A pesky player for the Big Red. Right in front. Pomar, a really good dig. Back to Convica. Take something off of it. Aguirre, a nice chance for Fury. 2 free balls on both sides. Back to Convica. Did she thread the needle? No, she did not. Matter of inches on the back left. What we're seeing so far, Rihanna, Cornell coming to this set number 2, the biggest emphasis is give Convica a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to give your leading killer those opportunities to land. And maybe in set number 1, she didn't get as many of those opportunities. That's okay. Let's make the adjustment and make it work.
Parsons into about the 7th row. A lot of muster behind that one there from Parsons. For a team that struggled so much last year for Cornell, 7-16 overall, the ability of what 2 freshmen have brought to the table and really revamping the program. And yes, how well Carlo, Convica, a lot of your upperclassmen have played, but 2 freshmen have done a massive part in changing the trajectory of this program.
And anytime you're dealing with Ivy League athletes, you have to understand that there's just a higher level of thinking that goes along with them, right? That means a higher level of energy. And Mackenzie Parsons and Haley Clark have brought that higher level of energy. Not only have they elevated this team, but they complement this team very well. They fit right in. And we talked to Mackenzie Parsons earlier on in the week, and she said, man, the upperclassmen have done such a great job of welcoming me into this gym. I don't feel unwelcome at all. I feel phenomenal being a part of this team. And that's the kind of culture you got to build.
Cornell going to reset here. Sione, a lot on it. Almost hits the scoreboard. Cornell 4-2 lead here in the second set. Cornell knows, too, that, yes, not match point, but you're kind of playing right now like it's a match point scenario. Don't want to go down 2-0 here at home. With the way that you've played in your last 4 matches, you've looked really good overall. 2 sweeps in your last 4. Valtinsky, too far. Valtinsky gets so much airtime. Ern and Vika, 2 of the best in what they do here in the Ivy League. It's a treat to see both of them at the floor at the same time.
Yeah, and it's a game of errors. It's going to be those 2 matching up. Who makes the least amount of errors?
It's about execution. Baker Zhang does a really good job once again. That's the 3rd or 4th time she's done that. Her eye level and just how smart she is in that back row, and also to be able to dive around as libero. Had a lot of success here in her senior season.
Part of the experience, right? To be patient and make sure that that ball is in play.
Amali Lima here into the game. Made it tough there on Baker. Parsons, the slam dunk.
There was nobody on the far side of that court for the Crimson thinking, okay, maybe it's coming back to this side. They've used this option a lot. Parsons, the smart choice to find that spot on the far side near the Ivy League logo.
Really good start for her in this second set. Here's Patterson. The young players getting involved here in this second set. Patterson, the sophomore, Parsons, the freshman. Patterson, 142 kills. That's her second one here tonight.
Yeah, and much to our surprise, just her second one. She's been so effective for this Crimson team. Maybe looking to utilize her more in set 2.
Ozalt makes it tough there for Sione. This diving effort on the Harvard side from Amali, but Cornell's going to take it. They've kept this same rotation in at the moment. Jackie Baker in as well. Ozalt, and then your front row, Kinvika, Carlo, and Sione. And then Pomar holds things down in the middle. Nice left-handed chance there from Aguirre. And then Harvard now back to their bench. Trubby comes in the game as the freshman out of Dallas, Texas. 63 kills this season. Neither side has elected to use a timeout here to begin. They've both been trading punches, and it's back to neither side overpowering the other. As you mentioned, Rand, it's going to come down to just the small things, the execution.
And the communication out there on the floor. What are you saying to your players?
Kinveka said no on the front side. Nice block there on the Harvard end.
That really felt like a momentum-sending rejection, but wasn't really a huge reaction out of that Harvard team.
Did not have that much energy as you would expect from Cornell. Ozalt, what a play, diving towards the scores table. Here's a chance for Hollis. Quite a kill in that first set. Kinvika enters one home. 8-6 in favor of Cornell. Megan Bickle comes back in here for the Big Red. She'll go to the service stripe. Baker comes out. Mesapika comes in. Back to the freshman conversation. You also have to talk about what she's brought to the table, and also at 5'4", how she rises so high above the net. You don't see that often for any player that's her size.
One word that comes to mind when you're talking about Mesapika is unexpected for teams. You're thinking, oh, yeah, you know, maybe this is the setter, or maybe this is this person or that person. No, that's a really powerful outside option that you have.
The words that Coach Vandenberg said is, she's a lot of fun, and she truly is. Adds a lot of depth behind Kinvika and Clark towards that outside. Bickle on the dig. Ozalt. Here's Mesapika. Harvard towards their bench, and too far. And Cornell picks up the point. They've been in system a lot more in this second set. And a lot more high-quality kill chances has been the difference for Cornell to have this 2-point lead. Sarita Pomar back to it. Too long, Harvard takes it. Service errors have also been a trouble this season for Cornell. And yes, we talk about that serve tough mentality, but 179 service errors coming in to the 112 in the service aces. There's a lot of the service ace reliability, but the service errors have also hurt Cornell in close sets.
Yeah, and that's where as a coach you kind of have to decide, okay, am I going to let my team serve free and trust their ability at the net and their ability to get good kills, or am I going to tell them to serve a little bit more safe? And Trudy Vandenberg is a coach that values those tough serves. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to choose and convert when you have the chance at the net.
And it's an identity that when it's working, it works so well. And when there's times where it's not going to work, like right there once again for Cornell, you can't shy away from it because it's what makes this team so good. If they serve tough, they take Harvard out of system, they get themselves into a really good spot. When it works, it's there. It's kind of a hot and cold mentality.
And Coach Vandenberg told us, like, when you're playing tough at the net, when you're working with those bigger leads, it allows you to serve a little bit more free and a little bit more tough and allows you to have less of those errors. You're not thinking about making those errors in these tight games.
A block there from Hollis up front ties things up for the Crimson. Zhang back to the serve. Bickle and Pomar both with the dig. Masapika up top, got too much of the net, and Harvard in front.
Harvard's battled back. It's been really impressive to watch. Down a few points, but they have never given up.
They have not. Seesaw kind of battle you're going to see all night. Zhang goes too far, so Cornell gets one back. Even in that first set, for a little bit, Harvard did get that comfortable lead by 7 or 8 points, but we're seeing here neither side allowing themselves to get too far behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, and you can't, right? That's where you have to take that mentality of, okay, we just lost that point. Short memory, forget about it. Let's drive this next one home.
Jackie Baker, full of reliability. Fury picks it up, and Harvard back in front. Fury, the senior, her and Faltinsky, the two upperclassmen on that end. Fury comes out. And Amali will come in here to serve for the Crimson. Sophomore to Newport Beach, California. Baker just too much on it there on her end. And it knocked over my water bottle.
We've had a couple fly over your head to bat one away just earlier.
Nothing is spilling on the equipment, obviously. This is a closed sealed water bottle.
Broadcasters are athletes too.
Actually, well, you are still an athlete, Rihanna. Here's Parsons. 2 chances off the net. Cornell almost kept it alive, and Harvard extends their lead. But Rihanna is they're a fantastic athlete at the golf level. I'm still trying to break a 95 right now on my end.
It's a hard game. It's a hard sport. And listen, being an athlete is not easy. Got to give a lot of respect to these Division I players out here on the floor.
Harvard, a really good response there. Aguirre's done a really good job. As a setter, does have a lot of height at 6 foot. Cornell will need a timeout. So just like that, Harvard holds on to a lot of momentum here halfway through set number 2. And Cornell just hurting themselves back to that service error department, just giving Harvard some free points.
Yeah, and they seemed like they came out onto the floor with a lot of momentum and that they were doing the right things, but Harvard never gave up. They made those adjustments, and they managed to convert.
15-11, Harvard in front.
Timeout,
Rihanna, what do they do? A really good answer.
And how about Doa Ozalt, the setter with the IQ to get back up on the net and to fearlessly go against what was necessarily inevitably going to be a slam? Blocks it away.
Their go-to assist leader. She does a good job there, just keeping it up. Baker to Konvicka there. Faltinsky. Did she thread it in? No, she did not. So Cornell, 2 points out of the timeout. The help from Ozalt. Konvicka with a tough hit over that really did not give Harvard a chance, but Faltinsky did have an opportunity. Kenzie Parsons does have a service ace here tonight. Just gets it over. Faltinsky, dead middle. And no pancake there from Parsons. So here comes Harvard once again. Just the first kill of this second set, though, for Faltinsky. That's 8 here tonight. Patterson's been the go-to in set number 2. 3 of her 4 coming in this set. Baker, Ozelt. Sione goes back row. Picks one up.
And again, you talk about the accuracy. I mean, that ball was necessarily between Faltinski's hand and the line to be able to accurately pick that spot. Really impressive ability.
Matter of inches there on that back row. And it got Faltinski in a weird area, diving to her right, back to her left. Zhang to Aguirre. Patterson with a chance right there. Cornell in perfect system here. Nice rejection from the Crimson. Back to Konvicka. One more time, why not? Good read there from Harvard on the soft hit. Hollis. Ozell back to Konvicka. What a rally! And Konvicka, a lot of authority. Back to a 1-point difference.
And both of those teams looked completely in control and in system. The block was set up. The defense was set up. It was going to be about who slammed it home harder, and Eliza Konvicka comes out on that.
It was her second chance on that point. Ozell can't get it over. Kind of just lost herself there leading up towards the service line and tried to almost place it too much. That's not that free serve that Cornell wants. So Harvard, another free point. This is where Cornell has to respond very quickly on their end. Far serve, Ozell. Nice job from Carlo, rising back to her left. Faltinski a free ball. Gives Cornell a prime chance right here. Konvicka couldn't get her balance. Hollis, a lot on that one. Back to Sione. Point Cornell. You saw on that point right there, Cornell responding. They can't get Konvicka in the right spot, but they respond very well on just getting some accurate shot over. Konvicka even knew in a spot like that, it wasn't going to be the hard hit, but as she was backpedaling, placed it in a really good spot, really on the left side of the Cornell C towards this near side for Harvard.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do, adjust. And a rare miscue from Ozal, but the Big Red managed to convert anyway. That resilience we talk about, there it was, on display.
There's the blockers. Jerby, the freshman, the middle blocker to Dallas, Texas. A lot of height there, 6'5". It was her and Mesapika. That's over a foot difference right there that they just had.
And that just speaks to the ability of Mesapika to be able to get up that high, but Truby obviously using every single inch she's got to get up on that ball.
Aguirre almost hit the Jumbotron with one hand. Gives Cornell back in their spot. Mesapika, what a response. Aguirre, though, on the Crimson end, right fist, just kept that one in play and almost clipped the top of the Jumbotron. Great thing about volleyball is you're still playing that.
It doesn't matter where the ball goes.
Here's Fury. A lot of fire behind that hit. Free ball from Mesapika. Back to Fury one more time. Bickle, a really good job. Konvicka goes back row. Faltinski's back there. They come back to Hollis. Omar swarming in. Mesapika one more time. She darts it towards the middle. Free ball from Zhang. Oh, what a rally this has been. Konvicka detonates. Tied at 18.
Oh, man. That was fun to watch, and you can just tell the energy in the gym changes after a rally like that. And not only that, the slam home, sometimes you got to make a statement, and that's Eliza Konvicka.
It was almost like that point was a matter of time. Both teams kind of trading half punches, some jabs, and then Konvicka comes in with an uppercut and said, I'm going to take full authority and really full force on this point. She does it right there. So 18-18, you go back to another timeout. It seems like whatever team comes out of this timeout fast, that's been the story right now.
Yeah, and it's also been about the errors, Cam, because we've seen that just kill runs. I mean, you look at the service errors, for example, just 2 for the Big Red in that first set. 5 of their service errors, they've had 7 on the night. 5 have come in this second set. So those miscues, those opportunities in sets like this is where it comes back to haunt you. And the Big Red, they've been playing really tough, trying to make up for those errors, but coming down the stretch of these sets, you can't have those.
Right now in set number 2, what have you seen from Cornell to kind of really combat Faltinsky. Had 7 kills in the first set, only 1 right now here in set number 2. What's the Big Red done to really stop number 3 on the Crimson side?
To be honest with you, Cam, I don't necessarily think it's something I've seen the Big Red do necessarily, but more so the change of strategy on the Harvard side of things, utilizing Patterson, utilizing Hollis in that front row, Truby obviously making an impact, and also just making sure your block is on. When Faltinsky goes up, you got to make sure she's covered.
And Cornell has done that here in the second set. So out of the timeout, you're going to learn a lot here after the first point. And Cornell takes the first point. Parsons hyped up with Convica. 19-18. Cornell can really ride this now on their end. One service error for Pomar here tonight on 5 digs. It was back row. Zhang, she let that go. Maybe would have been a service error. Fury gets it tipped off of Cornell, and Harvard ties it up.
Gets stuffed the first time, comes back, and lands the second time. That's the resilience that you're going to need, especially coming down the stretch in these tough Ivy League games. That's what's going to keep you in it.
Piede, the senior, back to the stripe. Good serve, made it tough on Pomar. Nesapika, too far. Seemed like there she kind of rised up and almost floated the ball instead of trying to kind of come downhill with it.
More so trying to shove it into the hands of the Harvard block in a miscue than slam it home.
Piede's the top server on the Crimson side. Ozalt back to Mesapika. Too low once again on her end on the outside. You thought for a second there Ozalt was going to go behind and give Convica a chance. So 21-19 Harvard. Coach Vandenberg, she'll call a timeout right here and have Cornell kind of reset. So Cornell comes out hot out of the timeout, Parsons the block. But once again, these light miscues for Cornell, just hurting themselves here when it matters most.
Yeah, and you know what? That's part of the youth, right? That's Parsons being a freshman. That's Mesapika being a freshman. But giving them the opportunity to be out on the floor and prove themselves, you can tell there's a lot of talent. They have a lot to bring to the table. And sure, everyone's going to have miscues. Eliza Convica is going to have her miscues. Cam Carlo's going to have her miscues. But you just have to learn when to minimize those. And in these big moments, these freshmen are just looking for experience. And I don't think there's anything wrong with giving them that.
You do not see around Division I volleyball, especially in the Ivy League, a lot of freshmen that are showing out so early and often. Cornell has 3 different freshmen that have played valuable points and have had valuable opportunities that have played an impact. You don't see that often, and, not to look ahead, but when this comes down the stretch as the season's gone on, they get this experience, year 2, year 3 for a lot of these freshmen. They're going to be set up in such a good spot.
Yeah, and that's really kind of the COVID haze. It's really the last year where this COVID haze has worn off and you're able to bring in a class who has had a full 4 years of high school volleyball and is able to come in with more experience than some of these players that are on the floor that are older do have.
And for someone like Convica in her junior season, she ends high school with a lot of COVID and then gets kind of comfortable here at the college level. That's a big part for a lot of these recruiting classes. 1 point difference, Convica, very tough serve. And Parsons says no way.
And that's the bonus of having Eliza Convica at the service line. When she serves so hard, sometimes it's hard to control the reception, and Harvard doesn't get set up at the net like they really want to.
Harvard another timeout. So 3 timeouts in the last 6 points. Both teams really treating this set number 2 like it is the match point, taking a lot of time to readjust, seeing what either side is throwing out there. 21-21. Is this the time where Cornell kind of goes back to Convica a little bit more? When they began set number 2, it seemed like first 5-6 points, Convica was involved in every single one.
Yeah, and it's the question of old reliable or new tricks. And at this point in time, I really think it could go anyone's direction. And that's the bonus of having such a deep team. You have Convica, you have Sione, who's an asset. Mesapika's been great in this match. Carlo could come back onto the floor at any point in time. For Harvard, they got a lot of weapons, too, that you got to watch out for. So a lot of dynamicism between both of these teams that you just have to be aware of.
Those 8 kills for Faltinsky, just 1 here in set number 2. 7 for Konvika here in set number 2. She had just 1 in the first set. Seeing how the two stars have traded punches, traded rolls here as this match has gone on. Konvika will start here with the serve. No one serves tougher than the ability of Eliza Konvika. Just rises in the air. Throws his volleyball about 15, 20 feet into the air to get herself going. Faltinsky had the dig. Here's Fury. And off the antenna. Cornell will take that.
The ability she has to throw a defense out of system right off the serve is incredibly special, using it to her advantage here.
So tough for Harvard to return these serves that they get over. So much backspin from Konvika. Faltinsky, they need her to get going. Bickle, what a dig. But just too far, reaching it back over the net. Went to the splits there was Bickle.
You see the sacrifice that these athletes are making out here on the floor, doing everything in their power, giving everything they got to stay in this game.
Zhang's been so good from the stripe, and Konvika not the dig that she wanted back. Seemed like she almost just took her head away from the volleyball in her fists, and Harvard back up by 1.
And that for me is a moment where it's a tight set like this, 23-22. You know they're going to target you in the back row. Eliza Konvika, she knows that. She's aware of that. And you just get a little nervous and have a slight miscue there.
Another timeout. And sometimes you almost think that both coaching staffs kind of just let your team play through it, let them kind of respond to what's going on. But both coaching staffs not taking anything for granted. If they have the timeouts that are in their back pocket, they're using all of them here in set number 2.
And they know it's crucial, right? They know it's crucial to get the word into your team when you can, to make the adjustment and to swing the momentum in your direction. Anytime you have the opportunity to do that in a game like this that means so much, you have to. You just have to.
A lot of stoppage of play right now. Harvard 23-22. They took the first set. They were up 14-6 to begin. Cornell crawled back. They won 5 straight. And then Harvard, down the stretch, took the last 3 points to finish that thing off. Harvard looking to go up 2-0 and have a chance to close it out in the third set. The first matchup between these two squads came all the way back on the 5th of October. That was a 4-set win for Harvard. That was at home in their home gym. Zhang back to the stripe. Bickle with the dig. Masapika goes far side. They want Konvika. It's a free ball. And a whistle blown against Cornell. Harvard takes it. Set point coming up. So just like that, all the momentum has shifted. Cornell had a lot of it. But all the timeouts have quieted everything down. Parsons has to come near side with the scores table. Another free ball. That's 3 in a row for Cornell. Fury does it. Only 2 in set number 2. Konvika came out so hot in the first set. You can see her right here doing a lot of damage. That was a phenomenal point. Right now, Harvard had a 2-point lead, a few blocks that they had in front. But Cornell not able to finish things off, and maybe they shied away from Konvika too much down the stretch.
I think that, anytime someone slows down a little bit when you're using all of your options, that's never a bad thing. Sometimes Konvika isn't in the right place to be set up for an opportunity, and that's just how the game of volleyball is. Sometimes she's in the back row and she's focused on defense. There's nothing wrong with it. You just have to decide when you're using those options.
Sione's done a great job as well. 7 kills to her name with 5 digs. Third set here. This is really where things are going to kind of show what teams will be more resilient down the stretch, as Cornell want to hold on to third place. And then what a loss does here for the Big Red. You look at their schedule here down the stretch, Rihanna. You can't really afford a loss right now. And then now you kind of have to play catch up once again to stay within the top 4.
Yeah, grabbing the split with Harvard is something that's really important for your program. Not only does it set you in a place where you feel really good about making the Ivy League tournament, but it gives you confidence going into the tournament thinking, okay, I might have to see Harvard in this tournament. I might have to see Yale in this tournament. And this is phenomenal practice battling back from these tough positions.
For Harvard, though, if they can take this one, they move to 5-4 in Ivy League play. They get within that top 3. They play Columbia tomorrow. Columbia team right now that's 0-8 in Ivy League play. You think Harvard takes both on the weekend, and they've really put themselves in a spot to be maybe in that second, third place spot. You know, that's their upcoming schedule right there. Yale's a great team. Penn as well has been solid. Penn right now is 4-4, right with Harvard in that fourth place spot. But Brown and Columbia towards the bottom, those are games that they really think they can have. This is a chance for the Crimson to win 4 straight.
And it's so interesting how volleyball works because Big Red struggling against the Crimson right now. They beat Penn, but Harvard lost to Penn. So kind of interesting to see how that shakes out. Harvard needs to win, though, and this is why. Penn's overall record right now is better, 10-7. Harvard is 9-8. So being able to improve and get a win here, that puts you in a really good spot to make the Ivy League tournament when you're already in contention.
And then after tomorrow, where Cornell takes on Dartmouth, who right now is in the 7th spot at 2-6. You hit the road. Princeton has been phenomenal. The Big Red just lost to them in 4 sets of the 19th. Princeton 6-2 in second place. Penn, as we just mentioned, middle of the pack. And then Brown at 3-5. Also a solid team that Cornell didn't have any trouble with back on the 12th. It was a 3-set sweep that was at Brown. So big games here down the stretch. If Cornell loses here, you have to really take that one tomorrow against Dartmouth.
Yeah, you got to earn everything right now. You can't count any team out of this. You have to earn it.
Cornell will start with it here on the service arrow for Megan Bickle. Harvard's taking the first 2 sets here tonight on the road. Their backs against the wall. Now Cornell, they're on the ropes. Hollis, Pomar, a really good dig. Ozell back over her head. Forces Haley Clark with the free ball. Hard hit there from Truby. Back to Clark, the southpaw. What a play there from Zhang. Great rally here to begin. Goes off the hustle. Pomar avoided the free ball, went to Clark. Pomar's been slippery here to start. Vika right at Faltinsky. Ozell, what a play at the back row. Can Cornell end this one here in the first set? Can Vika off the netting, but a phenomenal rally here to begin.
Yeah, that was just kind of an awkward distance for Konvika. She wasn't just nearly behind the 10-foot line. She was kind of right at it, didn't know, and sends that one into the netting.
She's a step or 2 up and gets in more of a rhythm situation, but as Rihanna mentioned, just far back. Tough dig for Pomar. Ozell, head first dive, set up Clark too far. And 2-0 Harvard here to begin. Haven't seen too much from Haley Clark here tonight. But now back in the rotation on the left side. Has played in every match, 54 sets, had 11 kills versus Princeton. That came on the 19th. Hollis one more time, Konvika and Carlo. The 2 of them, their height and their experience, they understand these close sets. These are the ones that they know you have to take it right here and play your best and most full effort volleyball right now.
And you talk about Cam Carlo, Coach Vandenberg saying, that's a player that when you need a block, you know she's going to get it. And she steps in onto the court and does it just there.
Zhang diving low. What a move there. Aguirre, the head fake, and just tossed it over dead middle for the point.
56 kills so far on the year, and you can see why. Sometimes she's just sneaky with it. She's been able to surpass those totals from years and years. Figured something out on the dumps, I'm assuming.
Just a really good job there. The deception. Ozell, Parsons. Too much. So once again, the scouting reports there, Cornell's getting really the chances they want, but not the accuracy on their hit percentages right now.
Right. You look at both of the sets, Big Red hitting under 200 in both of those sets. You can't win a game like that.
Another good serve from Piette. And Clark off the netting. 5-1 Crimson. And you get her a pin drop right now for the Cornell, looking to spark some energy from their bench. Really good night here for Piette. Only 2 service errors, but her volume back there has been a bright spot. Faltinsky Bickle, a really good job using her body. Clark towards the bench. They're forced for a free ball. Here's Fury. What a start for the Crimson, coming out with their heads on fire in set 3.
There's a clear difference out here on the floor right now. Harvard looks completely composed, completely calm, just working. And the Big Red, they look kind of scattered, kind of high energy, but not in a good way. And you just got to calm yourself down and get back in system.
Right now, Cornell almost seems like they're playing anxious. Ozump, Konvicka, and Harvard getting everything they want. Konvicka and Faltinsky, power on power. Faltinsky does a really good job reading Konvicka towards that right side. And 7-1 Crimson, the biggest lead to begin a set here tonight. It's all Harvard.
Yeah, and that's one of those moments where you expect to see a signature Eliza Konvicka kill, but Harvard, they're playing really composed right now, really tough. No fear at the net.
But nobody would be surprised if Cornell comes out of the timeout with their heads on fire looking to flip things around. Timeout here, but we'll have you for a lot more here in set number 3. Cornell looking for a comeback, and Harvard tonight starts things off right where they left off, an 8-1 lead. Harvard wins this point here. It's the biggest lead of the night. Yete back to the service stripe. She has not left there the last 6 points. They need Konvicka here. Take something off of it. And some deception shown there from number 14. Cornell desperately needed that one.
Yeah, and it's about finding what's working and what's not. Try the hard swing. Okay, you get blocked away. Let's try a tip now.
Konvicka threads the needle, paints it. We mentioned out of the timeout, Cornell's done a really good job resetting. It's been the bright spot here tonight for them. Not letting these moments get too much in their head, not playing as tight when they come out of the timeout. Faltinsky backpedaling. Fury, she was blocked from Parsons. Back to Faltinsky. Couldn't clip it. Now 3 points for Cornell out of the TL. The serves from Konvicka, it just gets Harvard fully out of system. They're not getting in a good spot to give Fury or Faltinsky chances right now.
And Eliza Konvicka targeting who she needs to in the back row.
Faltinsky in rhythm this time. And that's why. That was the first time they got Faltinsky going on that end. Few good digs there from Zhang, but not the accurate digs until that last point right there, just feeding Faltinsky. Konvicka to Ozalt, and here comes Parsons. They faked it. Gaffigan with a chance. Back to Fury. Bickle, really good dig. Parsons slapped in front from Faltinsky with the block on the other end. The former Ivy League Player of the Week. Got the Rookie of the Week in Parsons, the Player of the Week in Faltinsky. A lot of power on both ends. As Masapika back in the game, Parsons comes out. Konvicka also comes out right here as Bogan is going to check in for the first time. This is an interesting rotation here for Big Red.
You got to change something up, though. You got to see if something's going to work that you're not seeing.
Ozalt, Masapika, free ball flying in. Chance there for Patterson. Almost had the right spot. Free ball from Gaffigan. Back to Faltinsky. How can they stop her? They cannot right there. Your blocker's on the floor now. It's really Bogan. You have to ask the ability from Ozalp and Gaffigan to kind of step up right now. This is really a strong test for Cornell and see what Coach Vandenberg has in this rotation. Bickle just had to get it over on that free ball. Here's Fury. Tipped in front, slowed it down for Pomar. Bogan, a really good job there, back row.
This is where you have to use that. You have to take a point and go on a run with it.
Sione comes in here too. So Bickle comes out. Jackie Baker comes in. I haven't said her name since the middle of set number 2. Easy serve towards the middle. And a miscommunication there for the Crimson. They wanted Fury on the far side, but the set went too far right.
Harvard's played a really clean game thus far. You don't see that very often out of them. They've been exceptional with their accuracy and reading the Big Red defense very well.
Cornell finally getting a mistake to go their way. Now they get Fury this time. Off the top of the netting, just hangs over. Sione. Pomar on the ricochet. Going to be tough here by the antenna, and Cornell takes the point. Faltinski just not enough room to keep her feet in play there under the net.
And that was a prime opportunity for the Crimson as well, because if you saw, the Big Red team was all centered right in the middle of the court, all scrambling for the ball, not sure who was going to get it, but there was so much empty hardwood. All you had to do was put it into the back of the court, and Harvard not able to convert there.
They come back to Faltinski. Massapequa swarming in. They find Sione. They wanted to go there. Faltinski keeping herself in play. Cornell looking to crawl back. One of this point right here. They've done great out of the timeout. Fury places it where you can't hit it. There's been some mistakes here from Harvard. No mistake there from either side, but back to your point. 25 errors from Cornell, 13 for the Crimson. Cornell really only leads in that kills department right now. Jackie Baker to Ozalt. Sione had a lot on that. Made it very easy for Zhang at chest level. This one, Cornell gets the point. 12-8, but also back to the blocks department too. Harvard's won that battle up front. And you mentioned, Rihanna, that these two teams being top two in that area coming to this game, that's definitely played a factor here tonight.
It's momentum shifting, right? When you see those big stuffed blocks, it just makes a statement. It just says something a little bit different. And the ability to go up with no fear and to do that, that's a really scary thing. And I'm really impressive that these athletes can do it, and they all have the respect for each other that they can do that.
And that's set number 2. Cornell getting blocked 3-4 times to end that set. Faltinski off the netting, and Cornell's going to get it. Ozalt and Massapequa rising above there. No Convica. Carlo did just check in. Give Convica some rest right now. You get her back in when you're in striking distance. Timeout is definitely looming for either side. Come to Faltinski, not hiding that. Back to the bench. Baker can't dive to keep it in play. Harvard now with 13. You're seeing Cornell now play a little bit more loose these last few points.
Because why not, right? It's your third set. You might as well give it your all and play with no fear because you can. You're down to nothing. You got nothing to lose other than another set.
Your backs are against the wall. You're playing with like some house money right now. Massapequa with a lot of energy after the kill.
Yeah, she had something to say about that one, that's for sure. But anything you can do to bring the energy out onto the floor, you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Put a smile on everybody's faces, including Sarita Pomar and Cameron Carlo. Convica back in, Massapequa out. This was the starting rotation, really, for Cornell here to begin. Hollis, slap behind that one. Ozalt and Convica not communicating there on the near side. Seems like Convica there thought that Ozalt may have called it, then maybe didn't call it. That's what it looked like here, very close to us.
Yeah, and it looked like you see a rare moment of frustration out of this Big Red team. They don't get super frustrated very often, kind of rooted in this identity of just laughing off the mistakes, and a rare moment of frustration there.
Carlo misses right. Those are the kills right there for Cornell during this last 5-game stretch where they've looked really good, especially at home. 4-1 inside Newman Arena. Those are the kill chances that flip momentum. Not here tonight.
Yeah, sometimes the chips fall your way and sometimes they don't. The Crimson, they've been really, really composed on their side of the floor. The Big Red playing with a little bit of frustration. You can't let that frustration get the better of you.
Hollis did not have enough on it, so Cornell takes the point. Bickle's going to come back into this contest. Same with Gaffigan. Jackie Baker and Sione will come out of this one. Coach Vandenberg did say about this Harvard team this week, she said they're a very smart team. They're composed. They do a lot right. They don't hurt themselves. You're seeing that all here tonight. But Cornell, just like that, you're still in it at 15-11 when Harvard had a 9-1 lead here to begin in this set. Hollis and Kinvicka comes up empty.
Yeah, it's impressive what the Big Red have been able to do to battle back into this set, but Harvard, they just look very composed. Like you said, Cam, they don't really hurt themselves, and they've been playing a clean game. Sometimes that's all you need.
You're just waiting for that momentum shift for Cornell if they can stay in this one. Carlo rises up. That's a start. Carlo picks up a kill. That's her 4th of the contest. Bogan comes back in here for the Big Red as well. So a very tall front row. Gaffigan, Kinvicka, and Bogan. Here's Pomar on the serve. It was very shallow. Fury. Ozell. Here comes Gaffigan. Sends one home. And there's the energy and the authority. Back to life is Cornell.
And Megan Gaffigan, she doesn't see a ton of time out on the floor. Played in just a few sets this year, but the sets that she's played in, she comes in and is just a fire starter for this Big Red offense.
Her best game came against Binghamton early on, had career-high 9 kills in that one. She was big down the stretch. Pomar, a solid effort, but Harvard too much on it right there. When Cornell gets a point, Harvard responds the very next point, holding things, and once again, playing with all the fire on their side.
Make the adjustment, stay composed. This has been their game the whole time. They've stuck to that plan, and it's worked.
Piette back to the service line. She started this thing off here in this 3rd set. Bogan. She's brought some life here in this 3rd set. Did not appear often in the first 2.
And it seems like the Big Red is just playing with this energy that's do or die almost, living and breathing with every point. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but seems to be working right now.
Kinvicka the service error. So it's 3 points back to 4. And Kinvicka comes out here for Massapequa. Harvard right now can really close things out. Zhang back to the service line. And the Crimson, they have struggled so much on the road this year. 1-4 in other opponents' gyms. Gaffigan. She's been phenomenal here in this 3rd set, coming out of nowhere. It's not really been too much of the stars here in this 3rd set, keeping this thing alive for Cornell. You've seen help from Bogan and from Gaffigan really helping out.
And you didn't see much of her in the Columbia game, but if you remember back to when the Big Red played Princeton, she had 3 kills that were just absolutely momentum shifting. She comes in, she fires the team up, and she's a really positive influence out on the floor.
Tough play there for Harvard. Cornell takes the point back-to-back, closest they've been. And a timeout call for the Crimson. That energy back to life for Cornell. You mentioned their backs are against the wall. It's do or die here late. All the preparation coming into this weekend, and it comes down to these final few points. We've been at this exact mark to finish off each set so far. Harvard a 2-point lead. Cornell down by 1 or 2. How do they switch it here? This is the exact question we really asked Coach Trudy Vandenberg this week. What do you tell your team right now? 18-16, you're down 2-0.
Yeah, I think right now, this is not a game of physical ability. This is a game of mental toughness, right? This is about how you're dealing with the pressure, how you're dealing with the energy inside this gym. One team has been really composed. The other team has had their moments of great, phenomenal momentum. So it really could swing either way. Will the momentum take over in this one, or will it be the composure that wins again? And that's the question we have to ask.
Harvard's had a lot of composure. Cornell has been hot and cold. They've had some energy. They've been tense. They've switched it back and forth. They've done a really good job responding on what's going wrong. But when you have a little bit too much of the wrong, it spills over in a game like this.
Yeah, and it makes you play with a little more fear, right? When you're making those errors, they're fresh in your head. You're going to be thinking about them more, and all the more when you're dealing with Ivy League athletes, too. I mean, they're already intelligent human beings, but they just think on a different level, and sometimes that means that they think a little bit too much out there.
18-16 Crimson out of the timeout. Big Red looking for a comeback. They were down 9-1 to begin here in this 3rd set. Baker. A chance here for Patterson, and she kind of lost her footing. Thought the ball was going to be a little bit higher. Kind of came almost shoulder, neck level. She's also asking here, too, if she thought this one was tipped up front. Quick conversation there on the near side from the line judge and Patterson.
I think they were trying to ask for a challenge there, Cam.
Baker's service error. So you win the point right there, back to a 1-point difference. Now Harvard back up by 2. No Convica on the floor here late. Baker, Massapequa, Pomar, Bogan, Sione, and Ozol. Faltinsky has pretty much played this whole entire contest on the Harvard end. Fury not out there at the moment. Ozol was blocked in front. Massapequa going to be a tough play to make. And Harvard, a crucial point to get 20 on the board.
Yeah, and that was one for the Big Red, that the ball was sandwiched up against the net. You don't want to have that net violation, but it also was on their side, so you have to keep the ball up somehow.
Right by that antenna. Tough for Massapequa to make a play. And Massapequa can't help that one out right there. Lot on that serve, a little bit above her eye level. 21-17, and Cornell will head back to the bench here for a timeout. Harvard with a lot of the energy, and you really need some kind of spark right now for the Big Red. You think Convica and Carlo come back in right now, you just almost feel like you need a block or some kind of authoritative kill to bring this thing to life.
I do feel, though, Cam, that throughout the time that we've watched Cornell volleyball, that's not really Coach Vandenberg's style.
Yep.
If something's not working, it's not working. And you got to try out something new. That's why you've seen Ava Bogan come in. And, you know, Coach Vandenberg has sung her praises, too. She's sung the praises of Massapequa and of Bogan, saying that they're fully capable of bringing home points for this Big Red team. We've seen it happen. Is that the plan they're going to go with moving forward?
And it's good for Ava to get back on the floor. She's played in 6 matches, but she's missed 5 throughout this season due to injury. We're getting back and going here, having a very good night overall in her category. 2 kills, but on just 3 attempts for the amount of time that she's playing. She's just been playing in this one set here in this one. It's been set number 3. Cornell needs something right here. Pomar, Baker, Sione, Massapequa, all out as you just saw. So they'll keep this same rotation in. Parsons, Convica, Carlo all stick to the bench. And Harvard brings out Faltinsky once again. Piede also in as one of the liberos. Zhang has played this whole entire match. Baker a good dig. They set up Sione on that far side. Now Bogan looking to change up momentum. She cannot. And it's back to the blocking. The middle blockers in front. The Crimson have won that battle.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, you look at what this Harvard block has been able to do. I mean, they've almost had 7 total team blocks, 3 solo blocks as well. They are owning the Big Red on the net right now.
Service error there for Harvard. Have not seen that often here tonight. But 11 total blocks for the Crimson, 6 for Cornell. Having the service favor right now, this is really kind of the do or die time for Cornell. And Bogan too far. Service errors here tonight for Cornell. Almost 30 in that department.
Yeah, errors are killing them right now. That's going to be something that they look back on and think, man, we could have won sets if we would have just minimized a few of those.
16 errors for Cornell. And 6 via the service. And now Harvard. Match point coming up. 24-18. Looking ahead to 5-4 in Ivy League play and sweep Cornell for the first time since 2015. Faltinsky, tough serve. Ozol, Carlo, not looking to say goodbye here tonight. Back to Carlo one more time. Harvard has an answer for everything, and they shut the door. They sweep the Big Red for the first time since the 2015 season. They get win number 10 and the crucial number 5 in Ivy League play They take down Cornell 3 sets to none here this Friday night.
And you have to remember how much this means for this Harvard team. They get a win, so that elevates them over